Mr. President, the World Conference on Human Rights reaffirmed that all peoples have the right of self-determination and further specified that taking into account the particular situation of people under colonial or other forms of alien domination or foreign occupation. It considers the denial of the right of self-determination as a violation of human rights. Mr. President, in May 2009, Sri Lankan military forces made a genocide war against Tamils by killing an estimated 70,000 to 100 people in a short period of 6 months. In a framework of the long-standing occupation of the Tamils homeland by the single state of Sri Lanka, we denounce the contradictory external policy of the European Union by developing enhanced commercial and political relationship with the occupying powers while presenting themselves as leaders in the protection and promotion of human rights. We call upon the members of the Human Rights Council to investigate the holding at the earliest possible season of a panel discussion on the implementation of the right of self-determination in the field of economic, social, cultural, civil and political rights. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Next is the Association pour les Victimes du Monde. Okay, we go to the next on the list. Anaja?
Mr. President, the Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action states that one of the most atrocious violations against humanity and affirms the vital contribution of civil society to realization of human rights. The international community failed to protect nearly 146,000 Tamils from genocide. Unfortunately, we have lately seen member states like US, UK, India, China, Pakistan have weakened their resolve to put pressure on Sri Lanka to respect international law for their regional geopolitical interest. With right to self-determination and independence as a fundamental human right similar to peoples of Bosnia, Timor, South Sudan, we people of Elam Tamil repeatedly calling on the international community to adhere international human rights fundamentals. Establishing Elam Tamil nation is only way available to complete the decolonization process in Sri Lanka. This will help the UN body as a conflict prevention body and a step forward in establishing equitable international order. Denying right to self-determination to independence to Elam Tamils is gross human right violation. A democratically elected Tamil Nadu State Assembly passed a resolution in 2013 demanding referendum among Tamils in Sri Lanka to establish Tamil Elam. Mr. President, in Tamil Nadu, the United Nations General Assembly through Resolution 64/292 explicitly recognized human right to water, that clean drinking water sanitation is essential. Karnataka State is violating this resolution, and Indian Supreme Court though passed the resolution, but the state is not adhering to it. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Next is Tourné Lepage.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Vienna Declaration and Programme of Action states that one of the most atrocious violations against humanity and affirms the vital contribution of civil society to realization of human rights. The International Committee failed to protect nearly 147,000 Tamils from genocide. Unfortunately, we have lately seen member states weaken their resolve to put pressure on Sri Lanka to respect international law for have regime change in the island. The Chief Minister of Northern Province, Justin C. Vigneswaran, said that the northern eastern of Sri Lanka are the motherland of Tamil-speaking people, and granting autonomy to Tamil people is the order of the day. With right to self-determination and independence as a fundamental human right similar to people of Bosnia, Timor, South Sudan, we people of Elam Tamil repeatedly calling on the International Committee to adhere to the international human rights fundamentals and not to heed the racial, discriminatory and genocidal single state establishment. We propose that the Council to have a special rapporteur on the occupied Elam Tamil's homeland territories for have update on situation of Tamils. Relevant agencies within the UN system must now activate steps to make this a reality. In the interim, we urge that the UNHRC mandate the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to open offices in the Northeast, empowering it to monitor ongoing human rights violations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next is the Association des étudiants Tamouls de France.
Mr. Vice President, the civil war in Sri Lanka constantly ejected Elam Tamil refugees into India since 1983 riots. From 1987, the refugees returned home with the presence of the Indian peacekeeping force, only to return in 1990 along with the Indian peacekeeping force. There are a total of 102,055 refugees in Tamil Nadu. 64,924 of them are living in 107 camps. Apart from confinement, lack of privacy and dependence on the host government's policies, the Elam Tamil refugees are always at risk of being exploited by different forces. A bleak future stares at them as nothing is permanent. Any pregnant woman in a refugee camp is scared to become a mother, as the future of the unborn child is bleak. Nobody knows how the child would grow in such an unfriendly atmosphere without an identity of its own and live a life of hardship in an alien land. In this context, the international community must work out a political settlement acceptable to the Tamils, resettle all the displaced Tamils, restore the land of the original owners, dismantle the high security zones, close all the IDP camps in the north, demilitarize the north and the east of Sri Lanka, provide jobs to the Tamil youth, provide free and compulsory education to the Tamils, stop singular resettlement in the Tamil areas, provide land to the returnees living in the Sidambarapuram camp in Vavuniya. The government of Sri Lanka must work out a comprehensive package to repatriate the Elam Tamil refugees living in Tamil Nadu and welcome them with honor. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Next is the Mauritanian Observatory.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Vienna Declaration underscores the universal principles of equality and non-discrimination. We want point out the situation of Elam Tamils under occupied Tamils' homeland. In May 2009, Sri Lankan military forces made a genocide war against Tamils by killing more than 146,000 people in short period of 6 months. Sri Lanka security forces are still occupied Tamils' homeland. The present president of Sri Lanka and the government came to power with the promise of good governance and finding an acceptable solution to the unresolved issues of the Tamils. We call upon the members of Human Rights Council to envisage of the holding at the earliest possible session of a panel discussion on the implementation of the right to self-determination in the field of economic, social, cultural, civil and political rights. Though some lands belonging to the people are released for the people for resettlement, still bulk of the lands are not released. The coastal area around Mailiti and some of the fertile red soil lands of the people have not been released. Mailiti fishing harbour and the surrounding coastal belt used to be the area where 40% of the total fish in Sri Lanka used to be caught in those days. In a press release which appeared to the details on 13th September 2016, Mr. Mahesh Sennaika of the Commander of the North asserted
Time is up. Thank you. The next is the Alliance Creative Community Project.
Mr. President, my organization would like to draw your attention on the peculiar case of the Tamil territory under the illegal occupation of Sri Lankan security forces, which is absolutely against the considerations and reaffirmations of the Vienna Declaration. Such declaration says all people have the right of self-determination, and by virtue of that right, they will freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. My friend stated that the Sri Lankan military forces began a war against Tamils by killing more than 146 people in a short span of 6 months, and the Tamil people are waiting for justice. can this be considered genocide? The Sri Lankan government has not only failed to implement the reaffirmations of the Declaration of Vienna, but also violates Geneva Conventions and other applicable norms of humanitarian law, mentioned in the World Human Rights Conference as well as by committing a constant grave human rights violations in the occupied Tamil land pending decolonization. Mr. President, my organization endorses the approach of the Vienna Declaration and requests the Human Rights Council to encourage Sri Lankan government to allow once and for all the Elam Tamil people to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination. The occupied territory of Tamil's homeland is in an urgent need of the implementation of the Vienna Declaration decisions for the sake of lasting peace in the island. Many thanks.
Thank you. The last speaker I have is the Mauritanian Association for the Promotion of Rights.
Mr. President, at its operative paragraph 2, the World Conference on Human Rights ambiguously reaffirmed that all people have the right of self-determination and further specified that taking into account the particular situation of peoples under colonial or other forms of aligned domination or foreign occupation. It considers the denial of the right of self-determination as a violation of human rights. Mr. President, in May 2009, Sri Lankan military forces made a genocide war against Tamils by killing more than 146,000 people in a short period of 6 months. In the framework of long-standing occupation of Tamil's homeland by the Sinhalese state of Sri Lanka, we denounce the contradictory external policy of the European Union by developing enhanced commercial and political relationship with the occupying powers while presenting themselves as leaders in the protection and promotion of human rights. Olaga Tamil, let Tamil rise up. The biggest uprising to take place in the country of Elam Tamils after the Pongu Tamil uprising during the times of the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam, LGTE, declared on Saturday, 24th September 2016 with the support of more than 30,000 peoples, that the consultation staged by Colombo for the new constitution completely failed to include the genuine political aspirations of the Tamil people. Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, we have now concluded the general debate on agenda item 8. I understand that the delegation of Brazil have requested to exercise right of reply under item 8. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Brazil. You have 3 minutes, sir.